Napoli 2, Roma 2, an absolutely perfect result for us Juventus fans. It really couldn't have gone any better. One of two things could happen in this game. A draw, which would have been the most ideal result, and that did happen, fortunately so. Or complete kamikaze, Napoli win, and the battle for fourth is between us, Roma, and Atalanta. However, that would have really put a big gap between us and Napoli. But this is better because it puts pressure on Napoli as well in the mix for top four. So really, perfect night for me. Perfect night for us Juventus fans. The result was exactly what we wanted. The game, however, I don't think was the highest quality. I really don't think the level of football was incredible. There were a lot of key players missing for both teams, so that kind of highlights that. And it kind of, was expected almost. But 2-2. Not a bad game. It was entertaining. There were some twists. There were some turns. For the refereeing was poor again today. And honestly, just not surprising. Not surprising, man. A couple dodgy decisions. We'll touch upon that in a bit. But make sure you comment below your thoughts on the game as always. Before I get into my thoughts, my analysis. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys. Most of you watching haven't actually subscribed for some strange reason. That's what the statistics are telling me. We're so close to 30k. We're about 5k subs off. We're trying to hit 50 by the end of the year. So if we hit 30 soon, that'll be very much appreciated. And yeah, like the video if you enjoyed. Let's get into it. So in terms of the momentum, actually very even. As you can see, just Roma, Napoli, 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 Roma, Napoli. Literally end-to-end stuff. 61% ball possession for Napoli. They controlled more of the ball. 1.7 expected goals for Roma compared to 0.58 for Napoli. 11 total shots for Napoli compared to Roma's 9. 2 big chances for Roma, 0 for Napoli, which is quite surprising, to be fair. But yeah, in all honesty, wasn't the highest level of football. As I said, a lot of injuries. Scott McTominay being a key one out for Napoli. We know he is one of the best players in the league, and he's Napoli's most important player. Anguissa still out, De Bruyne still out, Neres still out. Di Lorenzo, of course, was injured. And for Roma, Paulo Dybala, Kone, who was a massive miss for them. Dovbyk and Ferguson doesn't really matter because they've sort of found a better striker than both of these guys anyway. But yeah, Kone and McTominay, that would have been a sick head-to-head in the midfield to have seen, but they were out injured. However, Roma, we'll start with the away team. Let's start with Roma. Why not? We'll start on a big. Where do we start? Actually, we'll start with Marlon. We'll start with Marlon because I think that's 5 goals, or I think that's 5 and 5 for Marlon, or 6 and 5, or something ridiculous. This guy's been in top form for Roma. He's really adjusted, settled into Italian football extremely well, and I have to say, when Roma signed Marlon, I was a bit like, well, I don't know about this guy. You know what I mean? Like, Roma, they had Ferguson, they had Dovbyk, two I don't want to say lampposts, but they're pretty useless. They're not top-level strikers. They weren't really making a difference for Roma. They were quite sorry, really. And I always said, going into sort of Christmas time, that I was confident against Roma in this head-to-head for top 4 because they don't have a striker. They don't have a goal scorer. And now, unfortunately for us, they've got someone that is putting the balls in the back of the net in Marlon. And the first goal was just, I would say it was pretty poor defending from Napoli. And Deco won the ball, lays it off to Mancini, who threaded it through to Zaragoza. And it's a pretty simple cut-across goal to Marlon. Poorly marked in the box, but yeah, good finish. And then the penalty's a pen. He scored a pen. I mean, it was a good pen in the corner. But he just played well. It was just, especially in the first half, running the channels, a big threat in behind. He's a quick striker as well. So I think Roma have really found a gem almost there because Marlon has just, as I said, slotted in super well and he's putting the ball in the back of the net. So they've definitely got a good little player there. I thought Cristante was excellent as well in the midfield. I think he complemented Pizzilli really well. I'm a big fan of Pizzilli. Only 21 years old, but again, he's just got time to grow and develop with Kone out. Bit different player profile really to Kone. Kone's a machine. He's a workhorse. He's an engine. Pizzilli's a bit different. A bit more of a technician in there. But Cristante covered the most ground today and just really marshals it. I'm not the biggest fan of Cristante. I don't think he's a top level midfielder at all, but he does the dirty work and he's a bit like a cleanup. He cleans up well, he's like an unsung hero. And he played his part today. Svila, I thought big fan of him, but I didn't think he was very good today, if I'm being honest. Even on the first goal, I know Spinazzola's shot was deflected, but he's too far off his line. Like, if you look at his positioning, he's a few yards off his line, and there's no real need to be that far off your line in that situation. Had he been on his line, he would have saved that. Even the second one, just stuck in the ground, stuck in the mud. The defense wasn't great, I have to say. And Ndicka, for me, was very lucky to even be on the pitch, because I think that was a red, guys. I have to be honest. For me, Hojlund, who had a horrible game, by the way, but Hojlund is pinning back Ndicka. He spins him, and Ndicka's holding on to him. Now, I know he's not holding onto him for a very long time, but he's holding on to him, and he's stopping him from running. That's a foul. It's a foul. He didn't even blow for a foul. And considering Hojlund was the last man, that in turn is a red card. Now, I understand maybe you'd say, it's not a red because the ball was travelling too fast and Hojlund wouldn't have got onto there and pretty much the keeper had it covered. But still, it's a last man attack. It's 100% a foul. The ref didn't give it. That's a bit questionable. I have to say Wesley as well. He could have been sent off. There was that 50-50. It wasn't really a 50-50, but with Gutierrez sort of barges him, initiates that foul, basically blocks him off, and Wesley kind of just lashes out a bit. But I don't think that was intrinsically a red, because in my opinion, Wesley was just kind of falling and he kicks him. But again, fortunate there. And this guy here, Zaragoza, Brian, well, I mean, he's a horrible player in my opinion. I'm not a fan of him, but he's just kind of, for me, he encompasses what's wrong with the Serie A. Like the Bastoni dive yesterday. I said it before and I'll say it again. For me, the players in Italy, they exploit the referees because the referees are low level. This guy dived twice. 2 dives, both times were given as fouls. No card for Zaragoza. And I think the players, they know they can get away with it. That's the issue in Serie A. It's like the players, they know they can exploit the referees. They know the refs aren't going to do anything. They know that they can get away with it. That's why they do it. That's why, for me personally, to stamp it out of the game, you need to give hefty fines, hefty bans. You need to look at the situation and think, okay, you've dived, 5 games disqualified. You're out for 5 games. Then they'll think twice. They'll be like, oh, damn, like 5 games. You can't do that. And then the Federation will be like, yeah, we're the Federation. We can do what we want. Who's going to say the Federation can't give a 5-game ban for a dive? Taking the mick out of the referee, taking the mick out of the other team, the sport. It's like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. If you stamp hefty bans on these players, they're going to stop. That's the only way for them to learn. 5-game ban to Bastoni. Bang. He's going to think twice next time. Guys like Zaragoza, even, look, guys, I'm a Juventus fan, but for me, Conceição, he goes to ground too easily as well. I think he dives quite a bit as well. Like, I'm not just saying it's non-Juventus players. I think in general, it's just a disappointing thing to see in the sport, really. Like, this guy went to ground way too often. In terms of the subs for Roma, for me, I was a bit disappointed with Sule. He wasn't really in the game at all. I actually think Zaragoza, despite the fact that I don't like him, was more involved in the game for sure. Different player profiles. I just think Sule doesn't really suit Gasparini's system too well. On Napoli overall, I actually think they were the better team, I think, over the course of the game. Missing key players, but they still did their job. Unfortunate, Rahmani got injured and it looked like a hamstring, so it's just more injuries for Conte's men. Really not ideal. Buongiorno played really well. I really liked Vergara again today. I know like the rating doesn't really do it justice in my opinion, but I thought Vergara was... I like him because he's not only is he young, right, 23 years young, but he wants to be on the ball. He's a guy that wants the ball to his feet. He's a guy that's courageous. He's a guy that tries to beat his man. He's a guy that wants to have an impact on the game. And I like that. I like those kind of players that aren't afraid of the ball. They're not afraid. The ball doesn't weigh at their feet. And he's been in really good form since he's played consistently after the Juventus game. And I like him a lot. I know people say he's that Kvaratskhelia replacement. I see some traits. I don't think they're identical. I don't think he's as good a talent. But I do understand why some Napoli fans see him as their current Kvaratskhelia. I really do. Yeah, I mean, Elmas played good as well. I really like apart from Hojlund, who I didn't really like today, I thought he was getting bullied by Ndicka. Despite the fact that I think that was a red card, Ndicka was just dealing with him every single time, in every 50-50. And Hojlund's movement in the box for me is just subpar, man. It's like there's a couple occasions where Spinazzola was whipping in great crosses into the box and he was just stuck. He was just stuck in the ground and it was like, it was too static. That's why I don't really like Hojlund that much. Anyway, I didn't like him in the Prem. I haven't liked him that much this season. I know he scored against us, but I'm not the biggest fan of Hojlund. But I just didn't think he offered much. I really think Lukaku. I know he's just returned back from an injury and he didn't even come on in the end today. But I think Lukaku needs to be the main man up top. Speaking of the Napoli bench, look at this, guys. Only 3 players didn't come on for Napoli, and 2 of them are keepers. Like, when you talk about thin squads, bro, and now Rahmani's injured, like, this is peak for Napoli. I mean, Juan Jesus will be back because of the suspension, but with considering how thin their squad is, bro, 2-2 at home to Roma, it's not the worst result in the world. In my opinion, yeah, this kid as well, Alisson Santos, this guy here, wow, he's a player. Chat, like, I have not seen this guy. I don't even think I've ever seen this kid play football in my life. But he came on and he was wicked. Like, genuinely, like, speak about Vergara wanting the ball. He wanted the ball every time as well. And I love wingers that point their defenders. And he was trying to beat his man every single time. And for me, he took his goal extremely well. Extremely, extremely well. That was well worked by Napoli. Buongiorno with the interception. Lays it off to, who? I think it was Elmas. I think Elmas assisted him. Oh, no, it might have been Giovanni, actually. It might have been Giovanni. I think it was Giovanni. Yeah, it was Giovanni. Was it Giovanni? No, I think it was Giovanni. But anyway, beautiful touch inside on his right foot. Lovely finish across goal. Keeper was just, as I said earlier, stuck in the mud. He couldn't react quickly. But yeah, I thought this Alisson guy, he looked sharp, bro. He looked sharp. I think he's on loan. I think. Don't know where he came. I think Sporting Lisbon. He came from Portugal. But he's a good player, and I think he should be utilised more because Politano wasn't in the game whatsoever. I don't know if you could maybe put Giovanni on the right, Vergara on the right, but Giovanni and Vergara behind Lukaku is an interesting attack. Not Hojlund, but Lukaku. That could be an interesting attack. Anyway, the game, it wasn't that high quality. I think it's because of the lack of personnel, really. But I think it's a good point for both them teams. Considering how the game went, Napoli fought back twice to get the equaliser both times. And Roma, I mean, a point away from home at the Olimpico is a good result. It's a very hard stadium to go to. Funnily enough, actually, Roma, 15 times out of 15 before this game here, when they scored the first goal, they won every single time, which is a nuts record, an insane record. And today's the first time where they don't win after scoring first. But anyway, I'm happy because the table is looking like this at the minute. As you can see, Napoli 50 points, Roma 47, us with 46. So we're 4 points off Napoli, but we're only 1 point off Roma, which is great because we have to play Roma in a few weeks anyway, which puts the ball really into our court and puts destiny in our control, I think. So yeah, overall, what do I think about the game? Wasn't the highest level of football. I think the refereeing decisions quite poor in my opinion. I just think they're getting mugged off too easily with the dives and the exaggeration from players. Like, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look on the Serie A. It's not a good look on the Federation. It's not a good look on the referees. They really need to stamp it out. And I think hefty punishments, as I said, big game bans, 5+ game, maybe even 10. If you slap 10 game ban, bro, I promise you, players will think twice about exaggerating. That's for sure. And yeah, a draw is exactly what we wanted, us Juventus fans going into the game. So the result went well. That's that. But let me know in the comment section your thoughts on the game, guys. Click the subscribe button down here if you haven't already. We're so close to 30k. Like the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night.